Hey there, in today's video, I'm going to review the DJI Osmo Nano and see if it's a perfect camera for runners. I'm making this video because I review shoes and stuff, and I run races all around the world, and I take shots like these. Over the years, I've used various GoPros. I've used the Insta360 Go 2, various DJI Action cameras. This is the DJI Action 2, the DJI Action 5 Pro, the DJI Osmo 360, as well as some flying cameras, otherwise known as drones, as well as the Canon R5 there. In this video, I'm trying to find out if the DJI Osmo Nano is the perfect running camera. Spoiler alert, it isn't. It nearly is, but it's not quite there yet. Any action camera is complicated, and I'm not going to cover everything about the DJI Nano in this video. I will happily answer any questions and make videos that you might be interested in. But in future videos, I'm going to be comparing the Osmo 360 to the DJI Action 5 Pro to the DJI Osmo Nano. They all sync with sports data, and I'll be doing an updated video on that. Some people are interested in that, but it is a huge subject to cover. As always, this video might be long. There'll be chapter markers down below, so you can skip on through to the bits you might be interested in. Let's get going. My running camera choice is the DJI Action 5 Pro. I recently filmed the Marathon des Chateaux du Médoc with this. In that case, I filmed it in the marathon. I brought a couple of spare batteries. I didn't bring a power handle. Sometimes I bring a power handle. I did for the Brandon Bay half marathon. So I've run marathons and half marathons with this particular camera. It has great battery life. It's a great camera for those kinds of uses, but it is slightly heavy to carry around. In simple terms, the DJI Osmo Nano is like a lighter version of the DJI Osmo Action 5. They have very similar specifications that I'll put on the screen, but the advantage of this camera in particular is that you can separate out two parts. You can separate out the camera from what DJI call the multi-function vision dock. Now, both of the cameras, the Action 5 Pro, the Osmo Nano, and also the Osmo 360 pair easily with DJI mics and the Mimo app, which I use on an iPhone. There is an Osmo Action 6 coming, which will upgrade the specifications, but for the moment, this has similar specifications to the DJI Osmo Action 5. One other small point is DJI insist on putting I like the cameras to be discreet. They put big white DJI lettering, so I usually cover it up with some tape. I could use a Sharpie, but I cover up tape, which is what I've done with the microphone that's on my chest. One of the biggest advantages of the Osmo Nano versus the Osmo Action 5 Pro is the weight. Now, when this is paired with its dock, there's not much difference in the weight. This weighs 147 grams, 5.19 ounces as tested. This in combo weighs 126 grams, 4.44 ounces as tested. But when you take them apart, the camera only weighs 54 grams, 1.9 ounces. That is a significant advantage when it comes to mounting the camera. For a running point of view, looking straight ahead, I often have a camera on a stick. You can point it and try and hold your hand steady, and then you can turn it around. And because there's a camera on this, the DJI Action 5 Pro, there's a camera on the front and there's a camera on the back, and you can choose to have them on or off. But it is a very easy camera to use. But of course, to strap that onto your head is difficult and it's heavy, and that's where this comes in. Now, this is a little hat headband, a magnetic headband it's called, and you can take the camera on and off. I find DJI have little clips. They're really fiddly. It's the worst thing about DJI is their clips. They seem to be getting better, but certainly the early ones, it can be a faff getting them on and off. But you can use the magnet. The thing with the magnet on your chest is it's much easier to hold your head steady than it is your chest. You get a lot of up and down movement. This is kind of okay for walking or simply looking around kind of shots. But if you want to get an action shot point of view straight ahead, you can see me struggling to get it in, but that is straight ahead is much better. Now, I prefer to have the camera as close to my forehead as possible. That's fine on a hat like this. If you were wearing a silly hat, which I ran a marathon in, If you're wearing this particular hat, you can't do that, but DJI have helpfully got a little clip, goes on the front here. There we go. And then this goes on the top. I'm not sure which direction around. We'll clip that on the top. That's in. And again, you can rotate that around. The thing is, what's really good about this magnetic clip is you can change the angle of it. Now, what I often do, you can use this remote control, and then that you can see on the back on the screen, you'll be able to see the angle you're pointing at, or I often use my iPhone with my Nano, with the Osmo Mimo app. So many names in this particular video. But the great thing about this chest strap as well is it's magnetic, so it can bolt on, and again, I can change the angle. So I can use this on my phone as a sort of remote control, have a look at what the viewing is, and that makes this very handy. And if you're out running and you don't want to bring a tripod or a pole or various other bits and pieces, this metal thing will stick to anything that's metallic that you happen to have. And so if you happen to have a steel ruler, clip that on, or it'll clip to anything. We'll come back to this in a minute. I mentioned the camera is magnetic. Here it is on a steel ruler. I can get it to, it sticks on really, really well. And you can use it for, I typically take shots inside a shoe. It's really handy for that. It'll get into places that most other cameras won't get into. Or if I wanted to see, for instance, what was up on the top of the shelves, I could do this and look at the remote control in my app or on the Vision dock. Get all sorts of odd and unusual angles out of this camera. And if magnets aren't your thing or won't work in a situation, you can use this, a little suction cup that comes in the standard pack. The previous Osmo Action 2 had a sort of rubber thing that you lick and stick, and it's okay, but this is actually much better. And one of the things about this, which it does, is this piece screws off. It's got a 1/4 on the bottom, and you can attach that to any handle. It's a really nice, simple system. So far, so good, but I have several frustrations with the DJI Osmo Nano. Some are big, some are small, some can be solved with firmware, some it'll be for the next iteration of the camera. The first one is the battery life. Now, the battery life is actually pretty good. You'll get 90 minutes out of the camera, or 200 minutes if you have the multifunctional Vision dock attached. Now, that's tested by DJI in various very optimal conditions. My guess is you'll probably get about half of that, but that would be pretty good, more than enough for what I need for my filming or to film a marathon. So the battery life, it's not perfect, but one advantage of this particular camera is that the battery is swappable. This will get about 4 hours, again, according to DJI. When I ran the recent marathon, I think I changed the battery once, and I had lots and lots and lots of footage out of this camera. And again, you can attach it to a power handle. But this one, what you have to do is this will charge from this. So what I typically would do is run with this on my head, but every now and then I have to clip this in to get the charge to go in if the camera is going to run out. 90 minutes is still a lot, but you'd be surprised how much that can go in starting, stopping, getting the wrong shot, all those kinds of things. I would like if there was a swappable battery. All action cameras and your phone can suffer from overheating. I've had GoPros overheat on me. I've had DJI cameras overheat on me. I've had the iPhone overheat occasionally. It's usually when you're inside and there isn't any air coming in. When I'm outside running, that's really not a problem. But one of the things I like to do is film in the car with a camera pointing towards me. What I've noticed I tried to do it with the DJI Action 2 and it overheated after a couple of minutes. This has been supremely reliable. This is the Osmo Action 5 Pro. This is pretty much the one I choose to have in the car all the time. I did try and do a test between these two the other day to try and see how long they would record for. This one actually overheated before this one. Now, this hasn't overheated in the car. And again, this has never overheated when I've been out running a marathon because there's wind and all those kinds of things. So it's not a big deal for me, but it is worth mentioning. A bigger deal on this, I keep comparing it to this, for lots of very good reasons. But for instance, this camera separates out pretty easily from a battery. So this is just the battery. You can also get this with a screen, but in this, the Osmo Nano, you've got the screen is on the back. Makes it really really useful for me when I'm running a marathon or any sort of race. I stick this on my hat, take it off, and I can actually see what settings are in, all of those kinds of things. But in terms of this, now I'm hoping this is solvable by some firmware, but at the moment, this is 128 gigs of memory, and the 128 gigs of memory that's in this card or in this camera, it only records to the internal memory. And then I can stick a card into the dock, which I've done. But instead of being able to easily switch between the storage between the two, I have to transfer all the storage from one into the other. And that is actually a faff. On this one, you can do it either way. Now, I have run races where I have run out of memory and I've needed to switch from the internal to the card. And that you can do very quickly. Obviously, in a race, you're going to be tired because it's going to run out. If it's going to run out, it's going to run out towards the end or middle, or it's going to run out when you're in the tired bit. And here, stopping to have to swap between the two is really a faff. I prefer if you would just automatically switch from one to the other when one or other was full. Hopefully, that will be solved in firmware. I was hoping that the DJI Osmo Nano would be like the DJI Action 2 updated. This comes into two halves. Some super easy things with this. This has a magnetic base on this side, and you can just clip it into its own bespoke headband here. And so I can clip it in and out really, really easily. That makes it really easy when you're running a race. The Osmo Nano has a sort of clip system that I find fiddly, and DJI are getting better at it, but certainly the original ones, it's not as secure as I'd like it to be and takes a lot of getting in and getting out. This, it's super simple. The other thing about this is because the screen is on this, and you can get the battery module with a screen on it, so you can rotate it to have the screen at whichever size you want. So you can have a screen on the back and on a screen on the front. This uses a system called Quick Clips, and in Quick, which is a setting. So when I set Quick Clips, I can set this to, typically in a race, I'd set it for 30-second intervals. And each time I press the record button, I'll get 30 seconds and then it'll stop. I can set it for longer if I wanted, but I find that to be about right. What that means is I just have to press go, stick it in, and then I'm running. So I often forget to turn it off, but it'll turn off after 30 seconds. And that way I won't drain down the battery by accidentally leaving it on. I found this to be an absolutely brilliant camera. The problem with it was the image quality wasn't as good as I would have liked. The battery life wasn't great. And what I was hoping for was better image quality and better battery life in its replacement, which I got into DJI Osmo. Now, what I didn't get was the same ease of use. One of the things that are on both of these cameras is the ability to turn on voice commands. It's also on this one, and start and stop the recording by simply saying start recording or stop recording. You can hear it starting down there. One of the problems I've had with this particular camera, and I lost a lot of footage in a race, was I thought I'd started, but it's very noisy at start of a race and you can't always hear, and it hadn't started. So I haven't used that as much. The DJI Osmo Nano does that, but also has another little trick. You can set it to have two types of gestures. One is a head nod, double nod down, and you can tap it twice and it'll start or stop when it's in an off condition and it's controlled. So we'll try that now. There, it started recording, and I've set it for 30 seconds. I tried this in the car the other day. Should be able to nod my head twice to make it start recording. That sounded promising. It's really good. It's a really good system, but there's an oddity in it in that you set it for, again, a time interval like the Quick Clips used to be. I set it for 30 seconds. And it also asked me for an interval time. And the interval time I put in was something like 5 minutes. It doesn't seem to be able to separate out those two. I either want it to be able to nod, and it'll stop after 30 seconds, or I want it to be on intervals. Now, intervals are very handy. See, it stopped again. I can nod again. It'll probably start again. And I find this really, really reliable. But I was running a race the other day and I decided not to take the camera, and I put the camera just in the car on the clip, and I went out to find that it turned on and off with these intervals every 30 minutes or whatever I'd set it to, every 5 minutes. So what I now do is I set the interval time for about an hour. I think that's the maximum time you can set it. And then, yes, I'll do all my nodding and it'll stop and start when I want to nod. And it'll also do the interval, but probably only once or twice when I'm running a particular race. And that's something that software should have sorted out, firmware will sort out. It is just frustrating. A lot of times people release these cameras before they'd fully gone through it. But yeah, that's solvable. Not a huge big deal. But yeah, set it for a long interval time, and then all the tapping as you run along is really good. Should you buy the DJI Osmo Nano? As a runner, you may have the DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro. In isolation without the dock, this is much lighter than this. You can fit this on the attachment on your head, the magnetic head strap, but it's not very, it's bouncing all over the place. It's really heavy. So I wouldn't try that. I mean, I've tried it, but I wouldn't, it's not usable. This is really flexible. You can use it all over the place. You can stick it onto things as you run by. You don't need to bring tripods because there's always something metallic. It's metallic on two sides, so you can also get it vertically as well as horizontally. It is an amazing camera in terms of its image quality for the size, and also I think for the price it is really good. The other one downside that is easily curable, not by firmware, is getting rid of the DJI logo. I like DJI, it's not a company, I don't have any problems with that, but I like a bit more discretion, so I would be sticking my little bit of black tape on, and yeah, before I go out, the black tape will go on, much more discreet. Yeah, it's a great little camera. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you did, it would be great if you'd hit the like button. As always, there's lots of stuff in the description below. I'd happily answer any questions you put into the comments. There'll be a big blue subscribe button popping up there, and spray videos there. Thanks for watching. Until the next video, just keep running along.